You know what, ladies and gentlemen, when I was a child growing up in Maryland and spending a lot of time in Washington, D.C., I would drive by the neighborhoods with my parents driving the car, where predominantly black people, in fact, almost all black people live. And they looked so raggedy and sad, and their neighborhoods were so run down and miserable. I just thought, wow, what a horrible way for these poor, honest, decent citizens to live.
There's Ben Stein shooting a video through his Motorola Razr phone to talk about all the craziness going on with how he was growing up and his associations with black folks. Yeah, in just a short amount of time, he found a way to be as offensive and demean folks as possible. But that wasn't, at least in his mind, his original intent. There's more going on here. Let's watch more.
If I woke up in the morning, as we call them then, a colored person, or a black person, we call them now, I'd want to kill myself. That was, let's say, 60 years ago. And now, ladies and gentlemen, if I woke up and were a black person, I would think, well, I have every opportunity to go to a really good school. I have every opportunity to live in a really good neighborhood. I have every opportunity to get a really good job. The whole system is now set up so that I, as a black American, can have every chance at a good life. And that is incredible, unbelievable progress. It's never discussed in the media, and it is a tremendous miracle of human decency and human accomplishment.
Ben Stein there talking about how if he woke up as a black person now, it'd be sunshine, rainbows, and butterflies. But back in the day, he'd want to kill himself. So what's changed? Apparently, things like the Aunt Jemima is no longer on the syrup or the box, because he recently complained about that. So that changes everything. But also, after he got some pushback, obvious pushback for this type of words that he's saying here, he then went over to Rumble to complain about the pushback, because woe is me.
There's more?
Please tell me, what is racism?
A racist is someone that the leftists want to smear.
I like that. Mandy, we should put that in the conservative dictionary of words.
Yeah,
racist, someone that a leftist wants to smear. Mandy, I love that.
Oh, I love that. There's been a lot of conservatives, I don't know if just recently or just throughout history in general, having trouble actually describing what it is that they have issues with, or terms like a racist, or maybe even woke. We saw that happening earlier in the week. But we love those types of definitions because they don't mean anything. There's more details and more actual pushback from the reality of our lives. But first, y'all's thoughts. Let's start with you, Sharon. What are you thinking Ben Stein is accomplishing here with this type of talk?
Well, he topped his comments about the syrup and the large African-American woman that he misses on the bottle, okay? I joked earlier on another edition of TYT that he perhaps was watching Trading Places, that Eddie Murphy movie. And I don't think for a moment that this guy ever understands what it is to be black or brown. And I just think that he wants to be noticed for anything. Notice me, okay? He's well past that iconic cult following movie of his.
Yes.
And he's just this bizarre character who speaks very slowly, and I do believe spends much of the day at the Waffle House or deli somewhere, and he just wants to talk to somebody. That's all he wants, just to talk.
You're saying he's lonely? Is that what you're saying?
Lonely and pathetic, and perhaps hungry, okay? And on a sugar high, I don't know. I'm not equipped to diagnose him fully, but there's something going on. Can we just say that?
Yeah, I mean, anybody who defines the definition of racist that way, 1000% there's something going on there. What I would say is, as a person who looks like this, let me just throw out just a quick piece of advice for anybody who also looks like this. Stop saying if I were this race of person, I would act this way. It reminds me of the president of FIFA, the heir apparent to the ever corrupt Sepp Blatter, only to be passed down to the ever corrupt Gianni Infantino. When there were all these allegations against Qatar, okay, and he had to defend Qatar with the World Cup. The only press conference he did, sans after the World Cup finished, when Lionel Messi won the entire tournament and Argentina won. Prior to, he said, his words, I feel gay because of all of the persecution that the LGBTQ plus community has. I feel like a migrant worker. There have been roughly, according to The Guardian, 7,500 migrant workers that died building that infrastructure. And he kept going on and on and on about all these things that he was to then placate to Qatar and anyone who felt a certain way about the World Cup, when completely misusing it altogether. We need to stop doing this completely. Now, to quickly debunk everything that Ben Stein said, I have every opportunity to go to a good school. There's an author named Paul Tuff who said there's an 8% is the percentage of black students at Ivy League schools. That is the same as 1984. I have every opportunity to live in a good neighborhood. Are we just completely getting rid of redlining these days and the effects of the Jim Crow era? Probably not. How about having a good life? Well, that's if you're not looking for a loan, driving, golfing while black. That happened. At a grocery store while black. If you're trying to sell your home, that's another one. And also if you're at the doctor's office. So I would say, considering how old this man is, it's not great to pick on your elders, especially when it's this easy. But what I would say at the very least, if I were to give advice, is I agree with JR, upgrade your phone. Your phone is well,
Jesus, this guy. I mean, I'm trying to figure out how long it took for him to upload that from, the big old connections that we used to have. But still, there's one other thing, because Rick, you listed facts, right? Reality and things behind it. But the thing is, when you list those facts, people that are bigoted or have these prejudiced beliefs, they take those as proof of their white supremacy. Here's some more of those facts. Because large educational disparities, coupled with racial discrimination in the labor market and other factors, lead to pronounced differences in economic security across racial groups, though. Here's some facts. In 2019, the unemployment rate was 6.1% for both Black and American Indian or Alaska Native adults, compared to just 3.3 and 2.7% for white and Asian adults, respectively. Also, Black and Hispanic adults continue to have considerably lower earnings than white or Asian adults. Median household income in 2020 was roughly $46,000 and $55,500 for Black and Hispanic workers, respectively, compared to $75K and $95K for white and Asian households. Now let's jump down to graphic number 4 here, you guys, because he also talks about how easily folks can get into college, as you pointed out a little bit there, Rick. Black college students have lower 6-year completion rates for any type of degree or certificate program than any other racial group or ethnic group because of racial discrimination, the high cost of higher education, and a multitude of external responsibilities. Again, according to a study from just this year already. Also, lastly here, you guys, that study found that Black students in less racially diverse programs are more likely to feel discriminated against, physically and psychologically unsafe and disrespected, leading them to abandon their higher educational goals. And by the way, we've seen numbers of Black women specifically that are in college a lot more than other groups. And we see some of the responses to Black women who find themselves in professional settings, who find themselves just in the collegiate and educational settings, and the kinds of discrimination that they see there as well. And this comes from a group of folks who can't wait to call themselves victims. So if Ben Stein puts himself in the shoes of any Black person, I guarantee you he'd be crying about it and be like, how dare you guys do this to me? Do you know what he said to me? Do you know why they haven't given me the right opportunities, wages, livable conditions in my life? Do you know what's going on here? But he's sitting in a space where he can say all those reasons and all those things that happened are because he's just better.
Here's another thing that I'll add on to, and everything that you guys have stated has been wholly accurate. But what I would say is, in the state of Mississippi, there's a former prominent quarterback who was able to. Stop me if you've heard this one before, JR. There's a prominent Hall of Fame quarterback who allegedly took TANF funds and funds that are for the needy. And used his clout and status within the state in order to build a volleyball facility that was intended for those who are poverty stricken in the poorest state in the union, where misusing federal funds to help these people has been paramount for many, many years through Republican leadership. So what I would say to Ben Stein is, can you tell me a little bit about the state of Mississippi? Can you just educate me on that a little bit? Because this is supposed to be the guy that has the Comedy Central show. And the guy who is, know your money, when really he is a washed up, I agree with Sharon, needing a friend type of guy who has no outlet other than to post 360p videos on Rumble.
Wow. Well, he has a friend down in Mississippi, and Favre and Stein should get together and go to one of those boba tea, those shops with the really fat straws.
Yeah.
And they should buy a giant one and put 2 fat straws in and suck up all the white privilege that they want and share. Wow. I just think that they're that close. They're that closely aligned in their thinking. I mean, remember Brett Favre, didn't he sue somebody for telling the truth about him and everything?
He's suing Pat McAfee and Shannon Sharp right now.
This is the chutzpah. It's really crazy, okay? So I just think that this Ben Stein, I said it earlier, $40,000 to $70,000. Do you know what that is? That's his speaking fee on the Washington speaking. Now, I don't know if anyone's booked him in the last 10 years, but that's what it says on the site. I looked it up. Well, that's how much money to bring him in and play this game? Yeah.
And last thoughts, you guys said the game that's being played is to continue to perpetuate these types of belief systems, because once people know the difference or actually know our history and the way we've come to the systems we have today, they might start thinking a little bit differently about it. And Ben Stein works tirelessly, and people like him work tirelessly to keep society guessing and thinking the opposite of reality. That's why we talk about this much.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.